welcome to a new Media Planet podcast. Today we'll be discussing what the electricity grid of tomorrow will look like and the role digitalization and international collaboration will play in shaping it. I'm joined today by Ralf Blumenthal, Head of Europe at Siemens, and Bernard de Clercq, Group Head EU and International Affairs from Elia Group. Could you please briefly introduce yourself? I'm going to start off with Bernard.
Thank you. So indeed, I'm heading the European and International Affairs Department at Elia Group. And Elia Group is the international electricity company specialized in high voltage electricity transmission. So as a group, we have several subsidiaries. We have a consultancy branch, which is called EGI. We have a developer branch, which is called WindGrid. But we're mostly known from our regulated TSO activities, transmission system operating, with Elia in Belgium and with 50 Hertz, one of the German TSOs. And we're strategically located at the heart of Europe, in Belgium and in Germany, close to the north and to the Baltic Sea. And we deliver electricity infrastructure.
Okay, thank you. Welcome. Ralf?
Well, happy to be here. I had a business unit at Siemens that is called Grid Software, and that's actually exactly what we do. So we provide our customers, which are TSOs and distribution system operators, with software and services to expand capacity, to modernize grids, and to get their customers more happy.
Okay. Let's move on to the first question, the first topic that we're going to discuss about policy trigger and the TSO role. The EU grids package puts the 15% cross-border interconnection target back at the center of Europe's energy agenda. Could you explain why this is important and how critical your role is in turning this policy into operational reality? And when would you call it a success? I'm going to start off with you, Bernard.
Thank you. So there are a couple of elements to the question, and I'll start off with the good one. We're the good students. We've reached already that target. Looking at, for example, at the Belgium case, we are way beyond the 15% target already. I could actually say that via air, land and sea, we're connected with our neighbors. We have overhead lines connected with the Netherlands and with France. We have a subsea cable towards the United Kingdom called Nemo Link. And we have an underground HVDC interconnected with Germany. So that's a good part. But at the same time, clearly it's not enough. It's not now that we're sitting back and relaxed and enjoying the ride. No, we strongly believe that we need to interconnect much more, so that really within Europe, we end up with a real European energy market in which electricity can flow in the end from the south of Spain to the north of Finland. Because in these days, this is clearly what we need. Sometimes we wonder how many crises or wake-up calls we still need. We refer to sometimes, let's say, the triple wake-up call for Europe. We start to realize that we outsourced our security policy to the US, our energy policy to Russia, and our industrial policy to China. And none of those three are maybe that reliable for the future anymore. So we need to build more on European soil, interconnect much more our systems. Because in the end, the more interconnected we are between European member states of European Union countries, the less dependent we'll become from foreign regimes. And that's what we do. That's where our DNA goes and our daily activities, to identify those projects which makes most sense, get regulatory approval, and then honestly build it as efficiently and as quickly as possible.
Okay, so best student of the class, I summarize.
So far, so good, yeah. But when it will be a success, that for us, it's already a success. I think from a European Union point of view, if not only us, but also all the other member states and TSOs reach that target, so that we don't have to look at 15% anymore, but can start looking beyond it.
Okay. Ralf, can you also give your point of view on this?
Yeah, I totally agree to what you say. And I think the 15% target is an ambition, but that goes far beyond just a mere 15% target for 2030. It's actually a challenge that goes to the fundamentals of grid operation around energy resilience. You mentioned it, right? What are we doing to keep the resilience of an energy grid intact within Europe? It's about affordability a lot, right? If we enable power to flow on a European scale in a better way, it will contribute to reducing or keeping energy prices within realms. And it's also about the sustainability part, which was big in the media over the past years. But now I think we're shifting more towards a discussion around resilience and affordability, but it's always been these three elements that are important. So 15% is an ambition, but it goes far beyond. And what I'd like to highlight there is that it's not just about the cables to enable that interconnection and the target, but it's also about taking and being able to get more out of the existing infrastructure. And that's where software comes into the game, right?
Yeah.
We're talking here about an enabler to take and use more out of what is already existing, which especially in terms of timescales is super important, because building out grids takes time and a lot of investment, and we have a timescale to bridge there.
Yeah, I think this brings us to the next question about digital transformation of TSOs. So Europe is investing heavily in expanding its physical grid, but at the same time, there is a growing focus on making the most out of the existing infrastructure. To what extent can digitalization act as a key enabler to unlock additional cross-border capacity, and how could this transformation change the way TSOs like Elia Group plan, operate, and coordinate interconnections across national borders?
And it's a very valid point, and Ralf touched upon it already a little bit in the previous question. But whereas I think the previous question was more on the hardware of the system, this one goes more to the software.
Yes.
Obviously, you need your hardware to run your software on, so it will be very much, let's say, a story of end-to-end and not or one or the other. It probably, even if we stretch the limits of the grid via integrated digital technologies, we will still need more grid. Without that, we won't achieve it neither. However, if I look at how we did system operation 10 years ago to how we're doing it now, the shift has been incredible. And also looking towards the future, it will only be, let's say, pushing more, let's say, the digital transition within the TSO community.
They need to go hand in hand.
They need to go hand in hand. And we like to consider ourselves as well as the digital TSO. We have a number of applications that we integrate in the system already. Just to drop some examples. DLR, dynamic line rating. We're actually equipping all our interconnected with that measurement technology. For you, it's probably no more than I know for all the people listening into it, but you can actually, depending on the weather condition, allow more electricity to run through your interconnectors. Electricity transporting creates heat. Heat needs to be evacuated whenever it's colder or more windy. You actually can push more electricity to the system, but then you need to measure it in real time. This is what we do, and then it's concretely, let's say, using the existing grid better. We have AI and enhanced forecasting tools to calculate better the infeed of renewables to see how we need to balance the grid. We're using drones and AI detection to fly over high voltage lines to detect whenever pylons need to be inspected, and it's much more efficient than each time an engineer climbing into the pylons to detect it. We have our own, what we call Elia data platform, a secure, sovereign data platform to exchange information on in real time. And so together with our innovation, with our, let's say, with the ecosystem that we build around it, with people like entities like Siemens, but also with a vast number of stakeholders from startups to big companies, we're constantly looking for innovative technologies to integrate in our grid.
Can you still add something, Ralf, to this?
I think you've summarized it well. It needs both digital and physical. But I would put it this way: without digital intelligence, no amount of new lines or copper will make the system work.
Yeah.
So you need, they both depend upon each other. And I think with dynamic line rating especially, you touch on a crucial point. The systems are designed for very critical situations that occur in very rare amounts of time across a year. And that's good the way it is, right? That's how it's supposed to be. But the remainder of the year, what do we do with a very low utilization of grids in some parts of Europe? So how can we use that digital technology, for example, dynamic line rating, but also how can we use flexibility management or other elements to prevent congestions in a way that we ultimately work towards a more KPI-driven approach of increasing the productivity or the utilization of a power grid. And this is a view which I believe is quite recent, right? But it's not surprising, right? Other industries have always been driven by productivity gains over time, and this is the same direction we need to work toward in the power systems as well, because again, it comes down to maintaining affordability and resilience.
Okay. If we then look ahead into the future European grid, like especially looking toward 2030 and beyond, how do you see the European power grid evolving, and how critical will cross-border collaboration be, especially from your unique position at Elia Group as a TSO operating in 2 countries?
So I'll start off by saying that 2030 seems far away, but honestly, for infrastructure development, it's tomorrow. So it's not that far off. But that doesn't mean that the system will be fundamentally different from how we operate it now or how we did it in the past. Just looking at our own company, we're investing 30 billion euros in Belgium and Germany. It has combined in the period 2024-2028. So there will be massive more investments coming online. In the meantime, we have a market cap of 15 billion. We're number 4 of the BEL 20. Would we be in the DAX? I think we would be company 8, 9. Those are numbers that I could not imagine when I started 15 years ago at Elia. We have big projects coming online with the Bottom Energy Island and 50 hertz connecting renewables from Denmark to Germany directly. You have the Princess Elizabeth Island in Belgium. We have our interconnectors with our neighboring countries that will evolve further. So there will be a whole lot of hardware coming further online in combination with no integrated system. So looking towards the future, as a European citizen, and maybe I'm also biased because I'm working for the European Affairs Department, but I would hope and count also that we have, let's say, a better interconnected European Union with much more integrated digital systems. Because personally, I would find it a failure. I do find it a failure if now, for example, big energy-intensive industries are considering delocalizing their plants from one member state to another because prices are cheaper in one country or they get more subsidies in another country. We should not be competing within European Union. We should be stronger as European Union with European companies. We're investing massively, let's say, and we get something in return. Infrastructure is there to stay. Money that we send away for fossil fuels is gone and will never come back anymore. So let's invest for that future so that we're structurally better off for crises, which unfortunately we see much more frequent appearing now than we did in the past. And that's what we want to contribute to.
What's your perspective on this, Ralf?
It's a business case that is not just interesting from a business perspective, but from a societal perspective, as you rightly mentioned. And I couldn't agree more. In my view of the future, the European grid is interoperable, software driven, and interconnected. It's not a grid of 27. Or 27 grids. It's actually operated as a whole. So it will be a grid that is driven by utilization. It is driven by the performance of recovery in case of incidents that might occur in certain parts. It's measured by how fast we can integrate renewables, continue to integrate renewables, getting rid of the queues you also mentioned in terms of renewables being there but cannot be integrated. And here we're talking about orders of magnitude that if they were not, so we have renewables installed, if they were able to be integrated, we'd already achieve the 2030 targets today. So to continue on that path, make a grid or have a future grid that is ready for this challenge and overcomes it, and where we have a single source of truth across countries in terms of models and grid models, a digital twin that can be used on the planning side, on the operations side, across the different operators who work in different countries, across different countries. So I think this is the vision that I see, but that ourselves we're working towards, but also utilities and the entire industry would like to strive to.
So to conclude, what are the main key takeaways going forward according to your perspectives?
I'll answer with 3 questions, and honestly, I've stolen 3 words. Sorry, I'm going to steal them from my CEO, Elia Belgium, Frédéric Deneau. When he arrived, he gave us 3 takeaways, and it was deliver, deliver, deliver. Honestly, we're looking at the future across all our operation, our daily business. How can we make sure that we deliver on our project as quickly as possible, as efficient as possible, and those, whenever you cannot reply positively to those 2 questions, it's probably not a good thing. So this is, let's say, the key focus areas we will pay attention to for the future.
Act now.
More or less.
I'd say in summary to what we're discussing is that a future European grid is not only defined by how much we build out, but especially how intelligently we operate it. And to your point of deliver, I think we need to adopt that perspective of a performance-driven approach to power grids, driven by utilization, resilience, and flexibility. And as such, both the critical infrastructure on the physical side and on the software side need to be seen as such and also incentivized for the industry.
Okay, interesting. Thank you both for coming. It was really a lot of interesting insights. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the invitation.